All right, guys, I got another SCREAMFEST LA festival film that I got to check out that is extremely brutal and is definitely calling for Argento and Suave. So let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie called Dead by Dawn. It's a Polish film that came to the SCREAMFEST LA 2025 to premiere, and I got to check it out remotely, and I'll be covering their movies for the rest of this week and more for you guys to know about these movies. This movie in particular is one that's trying to do the Giallo thing, but a more modern approach to it. If you've seen the movies like Opera or by Argento, or maybe you like Stage Fright, which is an amazing film by Michele Soavi, these are movies that this film is really trying to embrace with sort of a modern style telling and visuals that you might see in today's world, which really appeals to me, and I'm really genuinely was excited about this movie, and I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. But there are some critiques that I do have about this film. But one thing's for sure, this was a brutal film. When it came time for those moments that really make a punch, you know, that's a lot of what happened with a lot of those Giallo films, right? We had these showpieces, these moments where this really tense thing or this graphic thing happens on the screen, and there are those bite-sized memorable moments that really push the film into its own particular style, and this one does some of that in this movie while putting up a lot of colors and doing a lot of pastiche style with like that old 70s thing, you know, where it had some of that psychedelic colors on the screen. They do a lot of that in this movie. It follows a group of actors that are invited to rehearse a new play that's in a mysterious theater rumored to be owned by a family that has ties to the occult. And soon, what should have been an ordinary rehearsal spirals into a desperate game of survival as a masked killer with like 100 different eyes on his mask begins to stalk them and kill them one by one. And eventually, some of the people that survive realize that they are acting out an actual ritual that this killer is killing them for. So it's all working together. Now, this movie is directed by David Tyrone, or Tyrone. They've got a really good style about them, I think, and this is like one of their first feature films that they've done. And it's a little rough around the edges when it comes to pacing and some of the dialogue between the characters, but there are some really great shots in this film. Genuinely, I was like, wow, that looks really pretty. It reminded me of, if you've ever seen the movie Loose, definitely trying to do the nostalgia of, like, you know, Argento, Michele Soavi, those styles of films. This has a very stage fright opera film style about it that, like I said, it has some good moments in it, but there was some long stretches of just a lot of boring stuff going on. And I think that's stuff that all can be fixed later on. I think when you're working to make a movie, it may not come across as the way that you want it to. Maybe the music should have suspended some of that out, which, by the way, the music in this is very modern, and I did like it, but there is just long stretches that it just didn't feel like the movie was progressing, and it was just kind of looking at the wall or something like that. And I think it's just that pacing that really kind of hinders this movie. It should be cut a lot shorter, I think. It's like good to have pacing and atmosphere, but it just didn't really have that as much as I think they wanted it to have. And I think in the future, they'll definitely get there. It's just one of those things. It's like you kind of learn to get better at things as you go. And I'm not trying to put this one down by any means. There is so much really great stuff in this film that I really enjoyed, but it really was hindered by a lot of that slow. It just didn't fit. Where it goes and what they did with this film, I really love conceptually what they were trying to do with this film. And for that reason, I really enjoyed this film in some degree. You know, the brutality on the screen, oh my God. There was just like copious amounts of blood, chopping up people, heads exploding. There is a lot to have on offer, but they're very few and far between when you've got this like wide open landscape that doesn't really fill the space, if that makes sense, with something interesting for the viewer. You know, I've watched movies like Stalker, which, you know, intentionally do that to make people not want to watch the movie. Like literally the director wanted to do that, but that's not what I think was trying to happen here. It just needed to be shortened up and tightened up a little bit more. I loved the modern vibe mixed with what they were trying to do in the end, and the whole Giallo thing mixed together. I thought that was really cool. I don't think it was executed as well as maybe they wanted to, and maybe it was a money thing. I don't know. But the acting in it, like the characters that were in the movie were sufficient enough to do the acting, and I had no problem with them. In fact, I liked some of the characters in this, but I felt like they kind of dragged, and like moments where it was like, I don't know, it just felt like it was there for too much. It's really difficult for me to score this one because, you know, there's things about it that I really like, and I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for this director because I like the aesthetics of this film. I like the conceptual idea that they had, that where this movie goes. It gets pretty crazy by the end of the movie and gets into some pretty out there concepts that involve the rehearsal, the killer, and something else. I won't spoil it, and boy does it go pretty crazy, man. I admire it for trying to do that. I don't think it was pulled off as well, but I definitely support, you know, what the creativity that this guy has in the future, and I would like to see more. So I hope he gets another, you know, movie soon that I can check out and watch. But maybe you'll like this one maybe more than I did, you know. I'm just being pretty particular about it, but I definitely see the like talent behind this, and I'm very interested in seeing what's next. So, but yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think. Are you into like that sort of modern Giallo pastiche thing? I think there was another one recently that Shudder put on their service or whatever. It was like something called Screening, The Last Screening or something, and it was like this guy who was like carving out people's eyeballs or whatever, and that was a pretty aesthetic piece. It didn't have girth to it, that like something that keeps you there, and it didn't have as much of the vibe. So I think this is very similar in that respect, but very different in story, obviously. So I don't know. I would say check it out if you get a chance to check it out, but just, you know, taper your expectations down. I would probably give this one about a 6.5 out of 10 on this one, with, you know, I wanted to give it more, but again, those spots in between that just dragged out the whole movie just felt like a waste of time in some regards. But yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about this movie. Watch the trailer, check it out. I'll put it down below. And also visit the SCREAMFEST LA website to check out what they've got on there. Got a lot of shorts and feature films and stuff like that. So if you're in the area and you want to watch some of these premiere, you can actually watch them for yourself and go to the festival. So check it out. Thank you, SCREAMFEST. Thank you, Daweed. I appreciate you. I wrote him personally to reach out and get the screener for it, and I actually got contacted by them anyway. So thank you guys so much for your time. Thanks for stopping by. Happy Voidtober, and as always, long live the Void.